To the September Development Assessment Committee. I'd just like to open the meeting and call for any apologies. We have an apology from Councillor Ward and also from the CEO, Mr Derek Madden. Are there no other apologies? All councillors are present. Item 3, recording of the meeting. In accordance with Moorabool Shire's governance rules, this meeting will be live streamed, so it'll also be recorded, so everyone take note of that. Item 4, confirmation of minutes. Confirmation of minutes of the Development Assessment Committee of the 17th of August 2022. Somebody move that they be received. Councillor Berry, seconded Councillor Dudzik. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Are there any matters arising from those minutes, councillors? No, thank you. Are there any disclosure of conflict of interest on the items on the business paper tonight? Okay, thank you. First item is item 7.1, development use of a dwelling and ancillary shed in association with an equine enterprise and earthworks at 99 Corries Lane, Mount Egerton. We do have a speaker, Mr Cripps. Is Mr Cripps in the gallery? Mr Cripps? Oh, okay. Does it indicate when they might be here? Okay. We might just leave that for the moment, councillors, and come back at later, if that's all right. So the next item is item 7.2. Flip this across, which relates to a building and works facility to an existing industry at 11 to 13 McPherson Street, Mattingley. There are no speakers to this, but there is a recommendation there, councillors. Somebody wish to move that? Move, Councillor Dudzik. Yep. Is there a seconder for that? Is there a seconder? Councillor Berry. Is there any discussion? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Next item is item 7.3, and there are 2 speakers to this item. That is a variation to a restricted covenant at 25 View Gully Road, Hopeton Park. We have a speaker, Mr Horan. Mr Horan, are you available?
I wasn't intending to speak. The property owner is intending to speak, but he's still coming.
Okay. Okay, right. So, is Mr Quigley here?
Yeah, he's just...
Oh, okay. So, right. Okay. Well, that being the case, council, we'll move on to 7.4. But we will have to deal with these tonight, regardless of whether people are. We'll accommodate as best we can, but we do have to move forward. The next item is 7.4. which is the development of three dwellings at 13 Colorinda Street, Bacchus, Marsh. And we have a speaker, Mr Hamish Belson. Mr Belson, do you wish to come and give your presentation, please?
Good evening all. My name is Hamish Belson. I'm a town planner and act on behalf of the permit applicant for this matter. It would be amiss for me to touch on the extensive process that occurred for this application, which is for 3 single-storey, 2-bedroom dwellings. So this process included a pre-application correspondence, meeting with council once the application had been lodged to respond to the items raised in the RFI, and a consultation meeting with the objectors. This was undertaken to ensure what is before you today reflects an outcome which is in accordance with Council's planning scheme, as well as mitigating potential off-site impacts. The proposal is considered to be a very modest outcome with generous open space areas, high internal amenity, low site coverage and a hip-to-roof profile which is a direct response to the original housing stock present. There is significant policy support for this application within Council's strategic documents, including the Bacchus Marsh Housing Strategy 2041, which councillors would be aware of, seeks for multi-dwelling developments to be located in appropriate locations, including established residential areas that are well serviced, which is present at the subject site. This is reflected by the proximity of the subject site to the town centre and nearby infrastructure, including the hospital. These conditions have led to similar multi-dwelling development approvals and subdivisions located within the immediate surrounds and would be expected to continue to occur in accordance with the housing strategy. Importantly, the proposal satisfies all the requirements of the ResCo provisions, including the variations set out under the zone, which again encourage higher intensity development. The proposal incorporates a singular crossover as well as significant capacity for landscaping. This further serves to demonstrate that the proposal represents a comfortable fit and will provide for high amenity as well as the wider area through these increased landscaping opportunities, including on-street trees. We acknowledge this application will represent a further change in the neighbourhood character, but again, this is in accordance with Council's long-term policy, which seeks to evolve through the increased housing typologies to be present in this area. With regards to car parking, which has been raised by all the objectors, the application satisfies the planning scheme requirements. Notice the retention of a singular crossover for the site ensures that there is no loss of on-street car parking availability. Accordingly, we respectfully request that all councillors uphold the officer's recommendation to grant a planning permit. I'd be more than happy to take questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any questions, Councillor Berry?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Bells, on the property, there are 2 trees in the background, in the back of the property. So one's a palm tree, and I understand that's overlying where one of the units will be. There's a further tree at the back along the fence. Would you consider keeping that tree?
So my understanding, I might just bring up the plans, was that that tree wasn't actually on our site. It's on the site at the rear.
Can actually...
There is one tree, I've just got the plans in front of me now, that is located in the private open space for Unit 3, I believe. Our intention is to remove that, but we'd be more than happy to provide a suitable replacement as part of an updated landscape plan.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions of Mr Bells and councillors? Councillor Tatchell, please. Sorry, I just want... Yeah, no further questions, Mr Bells. Thank you very much for your presentation. Council will duly now consider the matter before it, so thank you very much. Councillor Tatchell, you're moving the motion, the recommendation?
I'll second it, Mr Mayor.
Move Councillor Edwards. Second, Councillor Edwards. Any dissent, councillors? I'll put that. All those in favour? All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. All those against? Okay, thank you.
Could I call a division, Mr Mayor, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
So, councillors, the division has been called by Councillor Berry. For all those who are in favour of the recommendation, could they please stand, please, or put their hand up and go, Councillor Edwards' situation? That's Councillor Tatchell, Councillor Minari, Councillor Edwards and Councillor Sullivan. Thank you. All those are against the recommendation? Councillor Berry and Councillor Dudzik. Thank you very much, councillors. So the...
Excuse me, Mr Mayor.
Yes.
Could I just have it noted that we had a division without a debate?
Well, good point, but it was called anyway, so
yeah
thank you for that. Thank you, good point. Now, moving back on, that was item 7.4. Moving back, is Mr Cripps or Mr Horan and Mr Quigley here? You are? Quigley. Mr Quigley. Okay, this is in regards to the variation of the covenant in 25 View Gully Road, Hopeton Park. So you wish to come up and give your presentation, please, Mr Quigley?
Yeah, just here to talk about, to get a shed permit. I believe it's above the size of the covenant, and I'm likely to get it changed. We've probably been in the process for about a year and a half or so now. We've gone through all the procedure, done everything. It's just, we sort of moved here to have the big shed and the space and everything. I'm sure you hear it a lot at the moment. It's just, well, obviously you've got a lot of, I've got a lot of cars, a lot of recreational stuff that I'd like to store in there just for sort of security, the tidiness, all that kind of stuff. I'm also, I need sort of the height because I'm restoring an old truck and I sort of, you need sort of the room, the height to do that with the big doors. And the other thing, I'd like to put a mezzanine for storage and sort of make a hobby room and stuff and up above. So it's just sort of that. And just presenting that right behind me is a shed that is a bit bigger than mine that I'm wanting. And across the road, it's even just as long, if not longer. Across the road on the other side in the farmer's land is sort of, he's gone a different way about it and just sort of stacked containers with a bit of a dome rooftop. I don't want to go down that track, sort of, yeah, it doesn't look good for the area, I'm guessing. Yeah, and so I don't like it. I'd rather sort of the shed and have it all a bit neater. Yeah, and just, yeah, like I'm going down the track, I would have it all concreted. There'd be no dragging dirt out in the road or anything like that. Yeah, it's all just for my personal stuff. I've got some work machinery I like to bring home, my own machinery at home that I'd like to put in there, the boat, cars, the caravan, stuff like that. And yeah, it's just sort of, we haven't been able to move forward on going with the size that I wanted. Yeah, that's sort of
Okay.
what I wanted to bring to the table.
Thank you, Mr Quigley. Are there any questions of Mr Quigley, councillors? Okay, thank you, Mr Quigley. Council will note your submission and will ultimately make a decision this evening. The other speaker was Mr Horan. Is Mr Horan available to this particular item? Mr Horan?
No, I've got nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Councillors, we have heard this submission from Mr Quigley and also we have a recommendation there before us. So I'm in your hands, councillors. Somebody wish to move the recommendation? We have to make a decision, councillors. One what? Councillor,
In regards,
question
we-
is it?
no, can we seek a deferral just so that, you know, very similar to one?
So you're
only
moving that the
last
matter be
month.
deferred?
Yes, so we can have more discussion with the planning department instead of just losing it.
Okay. We have a motion to defer this. Councillors, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Dudzik. Being a procedural motion, I'll put that. All those in favour? The deferral is carried. Thank you. So that, Mr Quigley, that means this matter, the decision hasn't been made this evening, so it'll come forward to another Development Assessment Committee meeting. I can't say it'll be the next one, but it'll be a one in the future anyway. So thank you very much. Just to note that's what's happened here this evening. Councillors, now we go back to 7.1. I know the Mr Cripps hasn't. Is somewhere we're not quite sure whether we'll have to proceed on this one, councillors. Councillor Dudzik.
I'm happy to move the alternative recommendation
Well,
with
I think it's a
some,
recommendation with some amendments. I think.
with some
Yeah,
amendments, and I'd call on the council officers to explain those amendments as it's come from them.
Mr Bazirnia.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I'll refer to Mr Mark Lavelle to just explain to councillors the reason for the changes.
Okay, through the chair. So there's a couple of changes. So condition 1C was initially the provision of a cut and fill contour plan. The applicant has provided that since we created the condition, so that information has been provided. And we've got a new condition 1C, which is a revision to the plans, and it is to say that the site plan, that all earthworks and drainage must be in accordance with the approved stormwater management strategy. So in other words, all drainage must be contained within the subject land. The other conditions that are changing are 14C, 14E and 15, which are infrastructure conditions, and they've been slightly changed to refer to the development of the site. And also with 14C, we've added a couple of extra lines about formalising swales within the road reserve. So of course water does not transfer onto a private property.
Thank you, Mr Lovell. Is there a seconder for that amended, the recommendation with those amendments as noted by Councillor Minot? Are you seconding that? Thank you. Councillors, any dissent? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. I'm assuming this recommendation this evening with the amendment will be forwarded through to the applicant so that they'll be aware of that. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item 8. Mr Cripps?
Yes.
I'm afraid timing is everything. No, well, basically, we just dealt with it, and the matter was when the recommendation went through with the amendments that just a couple of amendments to the plan, the planning conditions, which I think Councillor Dudzik has furnished you a copy. So basically, it's gone through with those changes as noted with those amendments. So sorry, a little bit late, but we held it off till late. Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, we understand that, but we do have to proceed tonight, as you can appreciate. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving along. Item 8, updates on BCAT decisions. Mr. Acting CEO.
Mr Mayor, I'll just refer to Mr Lavelle to see if there's any recent updates we haven't provided previously.
Mr. Lavelle, any updates, please?
Yes, so through the chair, 30 Madison's Lane in Greendale, which was a proposal for the keeping of 8 dogs. The applicant did withdraw the appeal after council refused the application.
Thank you for that. Are there any other updates? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 9, other business. Are there any items of other business, councillors? Thank you. There's no other matters on the business paper. The date of the next meeting will be in October. So at that point in time, council, I close the meeting. Thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you, officers, for their reports, and apologies for those who didn't get an opportunity to speak. But we have to sort of deal with things tonight. So thank you for your consideration, and have a good evening and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much.